Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever found yourself saying, I wish I had more money, I wish I were healthier, or I wish I could change my life? Wishing is easy, it's comforting, but it won't change your life. What will? Thinking. Strategic, focused, intentional thinking. That's the bridge between dreams and reality. That's where goal setting begins. Today, I want to share with you how to move from simply wishing, which is passive, to thinking, which is active, deliberate, and powerful. Wishing is something we all do. It's the natural starting point for any dream. You may catch yourself saying, I wish I had more money, or I wish I could travel the world, or I wish I was in better shape. It sounds harmless, even hopeful, but wishing by itself is vague. It lacks structure, clarity, and commitment. It's more like a fleeting thought or a desire spoken into the air with no plan to catch it. It's passive. It's like casting a net into the ocean without knowing what you're fishing for, or if you've even brought a line strong enough to reel in the catch. When you're stuck in the mode of wishing, your goals are like fog. You know they're there, you can feel them, but you can't see them clearly, and you definitely don't know how to reach them. Wishing doesn't challenge you to define the path, and because of that, it often leads to frustration or regret. You wake up weeks, months, even years later, realizing you're no closer to that dream. The problem isn't the dream, it's the approach. Thinking, on the other hand, is deliberate. It's the process of turning that vague idea into something real and attainable. It's the moment you sit down and say, okay, what exactly do I want, and how do I plan to achieve it? Thinking takes your dreams and gives them a name, a face, and a timeline. Thinking turns I wish I were healthier into I will walk 30 minutes every morning, reduce sugar, and track my meals daily. Suddenly the idea isn't abstract anymore. It's specific. It's a target. When you think about your goals, you are forced to define them. You must answer the tough questions. What exactly do I want? Why do I want it? What will it take to achieve it? What am I willing to sacrifice? These are not questions that wishing asks. Wishing wants comfort, while thinking wants clarity. Clarity is essential, because you can't hit a target you can't see, and more importantly, you can't succeed at something you haven't fully committed to. There's also power in writing down what you think. When you transfer your thoughts to paper, you begin to crystallize them. You create a sense of ownership. A written goal is no longer just a whisper in your mind. It's a commitment, a declaration to yourself that you are serious. That's why successful people often carry notebooks or journals. They write, they reflect, and they revise. Writing makes thinking visible, and that visibility fuels accountability. Another key aspect of thinking is the ability to refine and adjust. Wishing doesn't evolve, it just repeats itself. You keep wishing for the same things over and over again. But when you're thinking, you're analyzing what works and what doesn't. If you're not making progress, you stop and ask why. You seek solutions. You change the method, but not the mission. This is where growth happens. You become a problem solver rather than a daydreamer. Thinking also brings emotion into alignment with action. Wishing is often emotional. It can make you feel excited for a moment, but then reality hits and that excitement fades. Thinking, however, grounds your emotions with purpose. It says, I may not feel like getting up early, but I have a goal, and here's why it matters. It connects the heart and the mind. When both are working together, your commitment strengthens, and so does your consistency. When you think clearly, you start to visualize the outcome. You imagine yourself living that healthier lifestyle, running that business, or reaching that financial milestone. Visualization is a powerful motivator, but it works best when it's tied to a plan. If you only imagine without action, it becomes another form of wishing. But when you think and plan and see yourself walking that path, your belief grows stronger. And belief is the fuel that drives discipline. Let's not forget, thinking also invites feedback. When you think about your goals, you become more open to learning. You ask questions, you seek advice, you read books, you listen to mentors, you surround yourself with people who challenge your thinking and expand your perspective. Wishing is silent and solitary, but thinking is engaging and communal. It brings growth, not just for your goals, but for your mind. Ultimately, the transition from wishing to thinking is a shift in responsibility. Wishing places the outcome in the hands of luck, fate, or circumstances. Thinking places the responsibility in your own hands. It says, if it's going to be, it's up to me. That's the real power. It doesn't matter what you're dreaming of. Financial freedom, physical transformation, stronger relationships, or personal growth. If you're only wishing, you're waiting. But if you're thinking, you're building. So the question isn't whether you should wish or think. The question is, how long will you keep wishing before you start thinking? How long will you hold on to a foggy dream when you have the ability to create a clear and detailed map to your destination? The journey from wishing to thinking is the first real step to transformation. It's where discipline begins, where strategies are formed, and where results are born. Every great success story started with a thought, not a wish, but a thought that became a plan, and a plan that became a mission. You have that power. You can take any wish, no matter how far-fetched it seems, and start thinking it into existence. But it has to begin with clarity. Define it, write it, plan it, break it down, reflect, revise, and most of all, believe in the process. Because when you begin to think instead of just wish, your dreams don't just float in the clouds, they find their feet on the ground. And from there, anything is possible. Wishing waits. It stands still. It's patient in the wrong way. People who rely on wishing often tell themselves they're waiting for the right time, waiting until they have more money, more energy, fewer responsibilities, or a better environment. They delay their progress under the illusion that conditions will improve on their own. But what they don't realize is that waiting rarely leads to change. In fact, waiting becomes a habit, a dangerous one. One day becomes someday, and someday becomes never. That's the trap of wishing. It's passive, and it puts life on pause. Thinking, on the other hand, takes initiative. It does not wait for conditions to be perfect. It acts within the conditions it's given. Thinking says, I may not have everything I need, but I can start with what I have. This mindset is proactive. It understands that small actions create momentum, and momentum leads to progress. Thinking knows that action beats perfection every time. The truth is, there will never be a perfect time. There will always be obstacles. You'll never feel fully ready. But thinking doesn't let that stop you. It teaches you to take the first step, no matter how uncertain. It empowers you to move, even if you're scared. When you shift from wishing to thinking, you give yourself permission to start. And starting is everything. So many people are stuck in the waiting room of life, looking around, hoping their name gets called. They watch others move ahead, wondering why it's not their turn yet. But life isn't a queue, it's a field. And the people who win aren't the ones waiting for a signal, they're the ones who step out and play the game. They take the shot, they make the call, they launch the idea. And it all starts with a thought that says, why not now? Thinking is about being intentional. It's the recognition that time is limited, and you can't afford to waste it waiting for inspiration or outside permission. Action creates clarity. Action reveals direction. While you're sitting around wishing you could be better, someone else is out there trying, failing, learning, and growing. That's the difference between wishing and thinking. Wishing imagines a better future. Thinking builds it, one step at a time. Think about someone who wants to get in shape. They may say, I wish I were healthier. They talk about it a lot. They read fitness blogs, scroll through workout videos, and even buy gym clothes. But weeks go by and nothing changes. Why? Because they're still in the wishing phase. They're waiting for motivation to strike like lightning. Now picture someone who's thinking, instead of wishing, they don't wait for motivation. They create a plan. They decide they'll walk 30 minutes every morning, drink more water, and reduce sugar intake. They schedule it into their day. It's not always perfect. Sometimes they miss a workout or slip on their diet. But they're in motion, and motion leads to progress. That's what thinking does. It replaces delay with discipline. Thinking is deeply connected to planning. When you think, you start breaking down your goals into tasks. You create a roadmap. It doesn't have to be complex. Even a simple daily checklist can do wonders. Wishing never leads to a checklist. Wishing is a feeling. Thinking is a system. Systems are repeatable. They hold you accountable. They help you stay focused when motivation fades. Another important truth, thinking builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on a thought-driven plan, you prove to yourself that you can be relied on. That builds confidence. Confidence isn't something you wait for, it's something you earn through action. Wishing never delivers confidence because it keeps you in the realm of maybe. Thinking takes you into the realm of let's see what happens when I try. There's also a psychological shift that happens when you go from wishing to thinking. You start to see yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as the architect of your future. Wishing tends to reinforce helplessness. It places the outcome outside your control. Thinking gives you agency. It puts the pen in your hand and says, write your own story. Even failure feels different when you're thinking instead of wishing. When a wish doesn't come true, it feels like disappointment. It feels like something has been denied to you. But when a plan doesn't work, a thinker says, okay, what can I learn? How can I adapt? The failure becomes fuel for growth. That's because thinkers are in the game. They're not on the sidelines watching life happen. They're involved in the process of change. Let's apply this to a career goal. Someone who wishes for a better job might say, I hate my job. I wish I worked somewhere better. They think about it often, talk about how unhappy they are, maybe even browse job listings occasionally, but they don't act. Why? Because they're waiting for someone to reach out with an offer for the right moment to take a leap. The thinker approaches it differently. They assess their skills, they update their resume, they research the industry, they reach out to contacts, they apply to jobs even when they're not 100% sure they'll get them. They keep a list of companies they admire. They start developing skills they'll need for their dream role. These are not major leaps, just consistent action built on thought, and eventually those actions open doors. Not luck, just logic, effort, and persistence. It's important to remember that even small steps matter. Thinking doesn't mean you have to overhaul your life overnight. It simply means you're no longer postponing your progress. You're using your time wisely. Instead of killing time, you're planting seeds. In a world full of distractions, thinking also brings focus. Wishing lets your mind wander. You dream of the result without confronting the work. Thinking narrows your focus. It helps you prioritize. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your goals. You stop saying yes to every distraction because now you have a purpose guiding your actions. When you start thinking about your goals, you also become more resilient. Challenges are no longer reasons to give up. They're problems to solve because you've thought it through. You know why you're doing this, and that reason gives you strength. Wishing folds under pressure. Thinking pushes forward. So ask yourself, are you stuck in wishing mode? Are you waiting for the perfect time, the right energy, the dream opportunity to fall into your lap? Or are you ready to take control? Ready to stop waiting and start building? The good news is you can make that shift right now. No one's stopping you from thinking today. All it takes is a decision to act instead of dream, a decision to start instead of stall, a decision to become a thinker, not just a wisher. Because thinking takes you somewhere. Wishing leaves you exactly where you are. Wishing relies on luck. It's rooted in the hope that something external will change your life. Maybe someone will discover your talent. Maybe the economy will improve. Maybe an unexpected opportunity will land in your lap. It's a mindset built on waiting for miracles rather than creating results. People who operate in wish mode often say things like, I hope it works out, or I just need a break, or maybe something will change soon. While hope has its place, it's a poor substitute for a concrete plan. Wishing turns you into a spectator of your own life, sitting on the sidelines and watching while others take the field. You start believing that luck determines everything. If things go well, you credit fate. If things go wrong, you blame misfortune. The danger in relying on luck is that it creates a passive attitude. You give up your sense of control and responsibility. You stop asking what you can do and start waiting for someone or something else to make the first move. It's like sitting in a car without fuel, hoping the wind will push you forward. You might move an inch or two, but you'll never reach your destination. That's what happens when people wait for luck instead of building a plan. They stay stuck. They drift. They dream without direction. Thinking, however, operates on an entirely different frequency. Thinking creates a plan. It looks at the goal and says, how do I get there? It breaks big dreams into manageable pieces and creates a roadmap for progress. Thinking understands that success is not an event, it's a process. It doesn't leave your future up to chance. It prepares, plans, and executes. It's not random, it's intentional. When you start to think instead of wish, you step into the role of the architect of your life. You stop waiting for the right conditions and begin building the conditions you need. You study your situation. You identify your strengths and weaknesses. You assess what resources you have and what you need to develop. Thinking leads to strategies. It leads to timelines, benchmarks, and course corrections. Where wishing says, I hope it happens, thinking says, here's how I'll make it happen. Take the example of someone who wishes they had more money. They might say, I wish I were rich, and then daydream about winning the lottery or receiving an inheritance. But a thinker approaches the same desire with strategy. They assess their spending, start budgeting, learn about saving and investing, maybe pick up a side hustle. They study money, they think in terms of systems. They know that wealth isn't a stroke of luck, it's a skill set. They're not waiting for a lucky break, they're designing a financial future step by step. The key difference is this: wishing puts the power outside of you, while thinking brings the power back in. It's a shift in mindset from being at the mercy of the world to actively shaping your place in it. And here's the thing, the world respects plans. The universe responds to effort. People take you more seriously when you have a plan. Opportunities open when you've already shown initiative. When you think and act with intention, life meets you halfway. Another problem with relying on luck is that it lacks sustainability, even if you get lucky once. If you don't have a plan or system in place, you won't know how to sustain that success. That's why lottery winners often go broke. They had a windfall but no financial strategy. The same happens with people who stumble into temporary success. They get the spotlight but don't know how to stay there. Thinking provides the framework, not just to reach success, but to stay successful. A plan builds habits. It gives you tools. It creates repeatable processes. It teaches you how to adapt when conditions change. Thinking also teaches you resilience. When you rely on luck and things don't go your way, you feel defeated. It feels like the world is against you. But when you rely on planning and thinking, you know that setbacks are part of the process. If plan A fails, you already have a plan B or C. Thinking prepares you for obstacles. It gives you the flexibility to pivot instead of panic. Even more importantly, thinking trains your mind to focus on what you can control. Wishing often focuses on what you don't have or what's missing. It's rooted in lack. But thinking is rooted in possibility. It asks, what can I do right now with what I have? That question is empowering. It shifts your perspective from waiting to working, from fantasizing to figuring it out. Let's talk about careers. A person might wish for a promotion. They hope their boss notices their hard work. They cross their fingers that a better opportunity opens up. That's the wishing mindset. It's fragile. It depends on being seen, selected, and lucky. But a thinking person approaches that desire differently. They look at what qualifications are needed for the next role. They improve their skills, take on more responsibility, and document their achievements. They schedule a meeting with their manager to talk about their growth. They make their intentions known and take steps toward their goal. If they don't get the promotion, they have a plan to keep improving or explore new opportunities elsewhere. That's power. That's progress. That's thinking in action. Thinking also makes room for learning. People who rely on luck often see failure as proof that they're doomed to stay stuck. They say things like, it wasn't meant to be, or I guess I'm just not lucky. But people who think understand that every failure is feedback. They study it. They extract lessons. They ask what can be done better next time. They improve their strategy. They keep moving forward. In a world that constantly tempts us with instant gratification and overnight success stories, it's easy to believe in luck. Social media shows the highlight reels. People who blew up suddenly, who went viral, who got rich quick. But behind most of those stories, you'll find years of quiet thinking, planning, and action. The real magic is in the work you don't see. The plans, the failures, the adjustments, the persistence. Thinking gives you the patience to build something meaningful instead of gambling on chance. It's also worth noting that planning doesn't mean perfection. Your plan doesn't have to be flawless. It just has to exist. You can improve it as you go. You can start messy and refine over time. But having any kind of plan at all is far more powerful than relying on luck. A flawed plan can be fixed, but a wish just fades. So ask yourself honestly, are you waiting for luck or are you working a plan? Are you hoping someone will change your life or are you taking steps to change it yourself? Because the moment you start thinking, you start taking your life back. You become someone who designs their future rather than drifts into it. Don't leave your dreams to luck. Build them with thought. Craft them with intention. Make a plan and work that plan. Adjust, adapt, and keep going. Because the future belongs not to the lucky, but to the prepared, the intentional, and the bold thinkers who refuse to sit around and wait. Setting clear goals is the bridge between where you are and Where you want to be? It's the shift from vague desire to defined direction. Most people have dreams. They want to be successful, wealthy, healthy, or fulfilled, but few actually take the time to translate those dreams into specific, measurable, and actionable goals. That's why they remain stuck. Clarity is power, and goals provide that clarity. They don't just describe what you want, they show you how to get it. When you set a clear goal, you create focus. Your energy, time, and decisions begin to align with that target. Without a goal, you're scattered. You spend your days reacting to circumstances, getting pulled in 100 directions, and making choices based on short-term convenience rather than long-term vision. With a goal, everything starts to make sense. You know what to say yes to and what to say no to. You begin filtering your life through the lens of that goal. Imagine someone who wants to get healthier without a clear goal. That person might say, I want to lose weight, or I want to be fitter. That sounds good, but it's vague. There's no urgency, no structure, and no way to measure progress. But if that same person says, I want to lose 10 pounds in 60 days by walking 5 days a week, drinking more water and reducing sugar, everything changes. Now there's a clear objective, a timeline, a strategy. Progress can be tracked, adjustments can be made, and most importantly, momentum is created. That's the power of goal setting. It takes a wish and turns it into a plan. It transforms desire into direction. Goals give you something to aim for, and without an aim, you're wandering. As the old saying goes, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Most people don't fail because they aren't talented or smart enough. They fail because they don't define what success looks like. They don't set targets, and without targets, they can't hit them. Another key benefit of setting goals is accountability. When you write a goal down, you give it structure. You make a promise to yourself. You create a personal contract that says, this is what I'm working toward. That alone increases your chances of success. In fact, studies have shown that people who write down their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them than those who don't. Writing a goal down makes it real. It forces you to be specific and intentional. Goals also help you stay motivated over the long haul. When things get hard, and they always do, it's your goals that remind you why you started. They give your effort meaning. They allow you to see progress, even if it's small. And progress, even a little bit, fuels motivation. It's hard to stay excited about vague dreams, but it's much easier to stay focused when you can see yourself moving forward one step at a time towards something concrete. Let's take the example of someone who wants to grow their business. Wishing says, I want more clients, or I want to be successful. But a thinker says, I want to increase my client base by 20% in the next 90 days by improving my marketing, following up with leads, and offering a referral program. Now there's a goal. It's measurable, it's time-bound, it has action steps. That kind of clarity drives consistent effort. Setting goals also reveals your priorities. Once you define what matters most, you begin to structure your life around it. You allocate your time, energy, and resources more effectively. You stop wasting time on distractions or unimportant tasks. Your calendar becomes a tool for progress, not just a list of obligations. You begin to wake up with purpose. Each day has meaning because it moves you one step closer to your goal. There's a psychological advantage too. Goals create a sense of control. Instead of drifting through life reacting to circumstances, you become proactive. You take ownership of your future. This boosts confidence and reduces anxiety. It's empowering to know that you're not just waiting for something to happen, you're making it happen. But not all goals are created equal. For goals to be effective, they need to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific, be clear about what you want. Don't just say, I want to get better at public speaking. Say, I want to confidently deliver a 10-minute speech at next month's team meeting. Measurable, include numbers or criteria so you can track your progress. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Achievable, your goal should stretch you but still be within reach. Setting unrealistic goals leads to frustration and burnout. Relevant. Make sure the goal aligns with your values and long-term vision. Don't chase goals that don't truly matter to you. Time-bound. Deadlines create urgency. Without a time frame, there's no pressure to take action. When your goals meet these criteria, they become tools for transformation. They guide your daily actions and help you maintain consistency. And consistency is the key to lasting success. It's not what you do once that changes your life. It's what you do daily, consistently, with purpose. Another important aspect of goal setting is breaking large goals into smaller steps. Big goals can be overwhelming. But when you break them down into daily or weekly tasks, they become manageable. This also builds confidence. Every small win proves to you that progress is possible. It creates a feedback loop. Progress fuels motivation, which drives more progress. And don't forget to review your goals regularly. Life changes, and your goals might need to evolve too. Checking in on your progress keeps you accountable and gives you a chance to adjust your strategy if needed. Celebrate the milestones, reward your efforts. These moments of reflection reinforce your commitment and make the journey more enjoyable. Finally, be patient. Setting goals doesn't mean results happen overnight. Real success takes time, effort, and persistence. There will be setbacks. You might get off track. That's okay. What matters is that you keep coming back to the goal. Adjust the plan if needed, but never abandon the mission. Discipline will take you further than motivation ever could. In the end, setting goals is more than just writing down what you want. It's a declaration that your life matters enough to design. It's a shift from drifting to driving, from chance to choice, from passive hope to powerful intention. You don't need more luck, more talent, or more time. You need clearer goals, because the clearer your goals, the stronger your focus, the better your habits, and the greater your results. Dream big, but plan smart. Let your goals guide you, and you'll go farther than you ever imagined.
When it comes to achieving goals, the difference between those who succeed and those who give up often comes down to one thing: action. Even the most inspiring vision or the most detailed plan is meaningless without action. Ideas don't change lives. Execution does. Too many people spend their lives preparing, dreaming, researching, and imagining, but never doing. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, the perfect plan, and in waiting, they waste time and lose momentum.
Taking action is the turning point where thought becomes reality. It's the moment you stop talking about what you're going to do and actually start doing it. Action doesn't require perfection. It doesn't even require full confidence. It just requires movement. Progress doesn't come from waiting to be ready. It comes from starting and figuring it out along the way. You can revise, refine, and improve as you go, but nothing changes until you begin. One of the greatest myths people believe is that they need to feel motivated before they can take action. The truth is, it often works the other way around. Action generates motivation. When you take a small step toward your goal, you feel good. That feeling creates momentum. That momentum creates more action. It becomes a cycle. But if you sit around waiting to feel inspired, you can stay stuck forever. Action is the spark. It's what ignites motivation and builds confidence. Let's say someone wants to write a book. They might think about it for months or even years, waiting for the right time or enough inspiration. But thinking about writing doesn't make you a writer. The only way to become a writer is to write even if the first page is messy, even if it's not perfect. It's a step. And once that first step is taken, the next one becomes easier. That's the power of action. It breaks the inertia of procrastination. Another key benefit of action is that it provides immediate feedback. You can't improve what you haven't started. Once you begin taking action, you start learning what works and what doesn't. You discover your strengths and weaknesses. You make mistakes, and that's okay, because mistakes are how you learn. Clarity comes through engagement, not thought. You gain insights that can't be found in books or theories, only in the process of doing. For example, consider someone starting a business. They might read every book, watch countless videos, and take several courses, but none of that will compare to the lessons learned from actually launching the business, talking to customers, facing challenges, and adapting in real time. That real-world experience is invaluable, and it only comes through action. Taking action also builds discipline. It's easy to act when you're excited, but real growth happens when you act even when you don't feel like it. That's where habits are formed. When you show up daily, take consistent steps, and do the work regardless of your mood, you build resilience. You become someone who follows through, someone who honors their commitments, someone who doesn't let feelings control their future. Let's take fitness as an example. Everyone wants to be healthy. Many people buy gym memberships, new workout clothes, or diet plans. But the only thing that leads to results is showing up and putting in the work day after day. You don't get stronger by thinking about working out or watching others do it. You get stronger by moving your body, sweating, and pushing yourself. That's true for fitness, business, learning a skill, anything worth having. It's also important to realize that small actions compound over time. You don't need to make massive leaps every day. Tiny, consistent steps done over time lead to massive transformation. One healthy meal won't change your body, but eating healthy consistently over months will. One day of studying won't make you an expert, but consistent learning will make you unstoppable. It's not about doing everything in a day, it's about doing something every day. One common barrier to action is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But action is the antidote to fear. The more you act, the less power fear holds over you. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act despite it. And the beautiful thing is, when you take action, your confidence grows, you begin to trust yourself. You develop proof that you can handle challenges, that you can grow, that you can adapt. Another barrier is perfectionism. Now, people think they need the perfect plan, the perfect idea, or the perfect timing, but perfection is an illusion that kills progress. Done is better than perfect. Starting messy is better than never starting. Every expert was once a beginner. Every success story began with a first, often awkward step. Don't let the pursuit of perfection stop you from progress. Sometimes people avoid action because the goal feels too big. That's where breaking it down into small, manageable steps becomes crucial. If your goal is to run a marathon, don't start by trying to run 26 miles. Start with a walk, then a jog. Build endurance gradually. Celebrate small wins along the way. Each step is a victory that brings you closer to the larger goal. Momentum builds from movement, no matter how small. Accountability can also help drive action. Share your goals with someone who will support you. Join a group, hire a coach, or partner with a friend. When someone else knows what you're working toward, you feel more responsible to follow through. Accountability increases commitment, and commitment fuels consistency. It's also helpful to create an environment that supports action. Remove distractions, set up systems. Make it easier to act than to avoid. If you want to write every morning, leave your notebook on your desk the night before. If you want to exercise, lay out your clothes and shoes. Design your environment for action, and it becomes more natural to follow through. Don't underestimate the power of momentum. The hardest part is starting. Once you begin, it gets easier. One action leads to another. Progress builds energy, and energy drives more progress. It's like pushing a boulder at first. It's difficult, but once it starts rolling, it carries its own force. Remember this, Tackle. Clarity comes from action, not overthinking. You don't need to have it all figured out, you just need to start. Each step will reveal the next one. Taking action isn't just about achieving goals, it's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for life to happen, but takes control of their destiny. In conclusion, action is the great equalizer. You don't need to be the smartest, the most talented, or the most experienced. But if you're the one who takes action consistently, persistently, and intentionally, you will outpace those who only dream. Action turns goals into results. It builds confidence, creates momentum, teaches lessons, and fuels transformation. So don't wait, don't delay, don't overthink. Take the first step. Even if it's small, then take the next. Keep moving, keep building. Because every great achievement started the same way, with a decision to act. And attain accountable is one of the most important principles when it comes to achieving goals. Many people start strong, full of enthusiasm, energy, and drive, but few have the stamina to maintain their progress over time. That's where consistency comes in. It's not what you do occasionally that shapes your life. It's what you do consistently. No matter how ambitious your goals are or how perfect your plans may be, they won't matter if you don't follow through day after day. Consistency is the key that transforms habits into results. It turns dreams into reality through repeated effort. When you commit to showing up every day, whether you feel like it or not, you build momentum. Each small action compounds over time, just like a drop of water can shape a rock over time. Consistent effort, even if it seems small in the moment, creates lasting change. That's the secret behind every successful person, not bursts of inspiration, but steady dedication. However, staying consistent doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up and doing your best, even on the hard days. It means not quitting when things get tough. Consistency is about resilience. It's about pushing forward even when progress is slow or invisible. Success doesn't always come in giant leaps. It's often built through thousands of small steps taken with purpose. Let's take the example of someone trying to learn a new skill, like playing the guitar. If they practice for 2 hours one day and then don't touch the instrument for a month, they won't make progress. But if they practice for 20 minutes every day, over time, they will see tremendous improvement. The same is true for writing, fitness, business, relationships, anything worthwhile. The magic isn't in intensity, it's in consistency. But consistency alone isn't enough. You also need accountability. The accountability is the structure that helps you stay on track when motivation fades. When you have someone or something to answer to, your level of commitment increases. You feel a sense of responsibility, not just to yourself, but to others who are watching, supporting, or counting on you. There are several ways to build accountability into your goal-setting process. One of the most effective is to share your goals with someone you trust. This could be a friend, mentor, coach, or family member. Tell them exactly what you're trying to achieve and by when. Ask them to check in with you regularly. Just knowing that someone else is aware of your goal and expects you to follow through can be a powerful motivator. You can also use tools like goal tracking journals, apps, or visual progress boards. Seeing your progress written down creates a sense of accomplishment and keeps your goal top of mind. When you visually track your consistency, marking off each day you take action, you create a winning streak, and nobody wants to break a streak. It's a simple psychological trick, but it works wonders. Another way to build accountability is to set short-term checkpoints or milestones. Instead of focusing only on the end result, break your goal into smaller parts. Celebrate when you reach each mini goal. This keeps you engaged and gives you a sense of progress. When you know you have a check-in coming up, a weekly review, a deadline, a meeting, you're more likely to stay on track. Accountability creates urgency and keeps you moving forward. Being part of a group or community that shares similar goals is another powerful form of accountability. When you're surrounded by people who are striving for growth, it inspires you to stay committed. You can encourage each other, share challenges, and celebrate victories together. Whether it's a mastermind group, a fitness class, or an online forum, being part of a like-minded tribe keeps you connected to your goal. Accountability also comes from within. It's about being honest with yourself. Are you doing what you said you would? Are you keeping your promises to yourself? Self-discipline is the highest form of accountability. It's easy to fool others, but you can't fool yourself for long. Keeping your word to yourself builds confidence and integrity. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who finishes what you start. One helpful strategy is to schedule your priorities rather than prioritize your schedule. If something matters to you, it needs to be on your calendar. Make appointments with yourself. Treat your goals like you would treat an important meeting. You wouldn't cancel on your boss, so don't cancel on yourself. Set aside time each day or week to take action toward your goal. Protect that time, guard it, respect it. Another element of consistency and accountability is reflection. Take time to review your progress regularly. Ask yourself what's working, what's not, what needs to change. Reflection gives you insight and helps you adjust your approach before you veer too far off course. It also helps you recognize how far you've come, which fuels motivation. There will be days when you slip. That's normal. Life gets busy. You'll get tired. Unexpected events will happen. The key is not to let one bad day turn into a bad week. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for persistence. If you fall, get back up the next day. Forgive yourself quickly and recommit. Consistency is not about never missing a beat. It's about getting back on track as fast as possible when you do. Rewarding yourself along the way is another effective tactic. When you reach a milestone or stay consistent for a set period, treat yourself. Positive reinforcement makes the process enjoyable and gives you something to look forward to. Just make sure your rewards don't contradict your goals. If your goal is to get healthy, don't celebrate with junk food. Choose rewards that align with your values and support your long-term vision. Ultimately, staying consistent and accountable turns your goals into a lifestyle. It's no longer just something you're trying to do, it becomes who you are. You become the kind of person who shows up, who follows through, who doesn't rely on motivation, but instead operates from commitment. This shift in identity is what leads to lasting success. When you combine consistency with accountability, you create a powerful formula. Consistency builds momentum. Accountability keeps you on track. Together, they make your success inevitable. So don't rely on occasional bursts of energy. Build systems that support your goals every day. Surround yourself with people who push you to be better. Track your progress. Reflect regularly, and never let a stumble become a stop. In the end, great results don't come from occasional effort, they come from disciplined action repeated over time. Be patient, be persistent, and hold yourself to the standard of someone who finishes what they start. That's how you turn vision into victory, one consistent, accountable step at a time.